I'm the best kind of expert. I learned this shit the hard way.
Yes.
By having to figure it out to save my own ass. And that's why I am so successful, because I don't talk down to people. And I'm not some doctor that is diagnosing you. I am shoulder to shoulder with you, dealing in the shit of life and confronting my own patterns of trauma, my own patterns of anxiety, my own patterns of feeling unworthy, and just sharing all the shit that's working for me. And that's the genesis of all the work that I do. My gift is taking super complicated topics like how your brain works and distilling it down into super sticky and simple ways to apply it and to use the stuff to change your life.
And you had to teach yourself that because you were looking for the knowledge when you hit rock bottom?
No, I couldn't get my ass out of bed and my kids were missing the bus and I was basically an alcoholic who was heading towards divorce.
Oh, how did that happen?
Former life coach. Yeah, that's the person you want to hire.
How did that happen?
Well, what ended up happening is life was going really well. My coaching business was decent. Like, it was great money and I was always very busy. And my husband came home after getting laid off one day in 2006 and said, I don't want to go back to work. And I'm like, was there like a trust fund that was part of this program that I was not aware of? Because you not working was never part of it.
Are you still married to him?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Okay, just making yes, okay.
Doesn't sound like of course right now.
Okay.
And his name is Christopher Robbins.
No.
Yes, I swear to
Cute.
God. Yeah, super cute.
Okay, go on. So you were like, what?
Yes, I was like, what? And so he explained that he'd been miserable for a long time and he wanted to pursue his dream.
Oh, what have you
How
been
old-
doing? Like finance?
Like business development for tech
And
startups.
how old were your kids?
Oh my God, all the math.
Sorry, young. Yeah, you could say
hold
under
on.
10, under...
Well, they were 10 years ago. It was 10 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
10 years ago.
So
So
10 and under. So
10 under.
three
Okay,
kids, 10 and
under
under.
10. Okay, because that's another stress on top of...
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? Because you've got to provide for these people in college and
course.
things and houses and bills.
Oh, that
and,
gives me anxiety just
So,
thinking about
so
that.
he basically says that, and we were not in the stage where we had money put away. Like,
Right.
we're paying the bills.
Yeah.
Bring in the check, pay the
Not
bills.
stage
Bring in the
yet
check,
either.
pay the bills.
Damn,
Okay,
shit. You
go ahead.
better not say
So
that.
he says he wants to open a pizza restaurant.
Shut up! A pizza restaurant?
Yeah, that was basically my reaction too. So I'm like,
Fucking hell.
You know, this kind of scares me a little because Mark always says we don't have good pizza in Toronto.
Yeah.
He's from Massachusetts, and I don't know, he went to school in Philly, and he said that there is better pizza, whereas this town has no pizza. He's going to do this to me.
So then what happened?
this was actually a little bit longer ago because I was pregnant at the time, which only made it worse. So I'm like, oh, this is great.
Are you
so I'm
kidding me?
pregnant and I have my own business and you're now gonna open a pizza restaurant and I'm gonna fucking kill you.
I'm just picturing it. And you're pregnant. It makes it so much better.
So here's
Or
a
worse.
great piece of advice somebody gave me because I was like the raging bitch from hell for 2 months
Yeah.
because I just wanted to kill him and shame him into getting a job.
Oh.
And this friend of mine said,
sounds
look,
right.
Chris has made his decision. You need to now make yours.
What does that mean?
That means, are you going to get on this train that's left the station
Or get out.
and be his biggest cheerleader? Or are you going to be the raging bitch that he did this in spite of?
That's really good.
So then what happened?
But you hear that advice, right?
Yes,
Like, you
no,
kinda-
I know.
you kind of
can't
have
just sit
to-
there and resent them.
You have to
You
make
gotta
a choice.
jump
And
on
I'm
board.
assuming that...
I made the choice that I'm just going to grit my teeth, and he'd walk in the door and I'd want to strangle him and I'd be like, and did you guys find a location yet? And how's the fundraising going, you know? And eventually it just started to work. They were working really hard. They raised a little bit of money. They got the first one open, and I'm the first one to admit I was wrong. Like, the first one was a wild success. 40 seats, little place in Belmont, Massachusetts. There was a line out the door opening night. And so what do you do in success? Oh, you go all in. You cash out the 401k. You cash out the kids' college savings. You take a home equity line because that's free money, and you then ask all your friends and family to jump in, and you go try to open the second and the third.
In other towns?
I'm feeling anxious for you. I'm feeling anxious for you.
And
sweating
so
here.
the second one, and one out of if you open a bunch of restaurants, 1 out of 5 will fail.
Okay.
So the second location was the dog.
Oh.
And it was also majorly over budget, so that by the time they got it open, it had chewed into the funding for the third, which they had already signed a lease on. By the way, this was now right around 2007 and 2008 when the recession hit.
Oh my God.
So the recession hits, the bottom drops out of the stock market and the housing market, people stop going out to dinner. and we find ourselves $800,000 in debt. The liens hit the house.
You have a new,
the
you have
repossession
a new baby,
notice
I'm assuming.
are coming. The new baby's now a year. We can't pay for groceries. I pull my kids from town soccer because we can't pay the $120 for town soccer. My dad sends me a check so we could pay the mortgage for the next 2 months to stave off the bankruptcy. I mean, it was, and I find myself so completely just blindsided by shame and embarrassment and anger and everything that I can't get out of bed. Like, the way that I dealt with the breakdown was to either scream at Chris or drink. And I would throw back 5 or 6 Manhattans a night and fall asleep in the chair in the living room. And the kids would wake me up in the morning. I mean, it was a disaster.
What was your husband saying at that time?
He was avoiding me like the plague, because what happens for men is that for women, there's a tremendous amount of pressure on us to look a certain way.
Yeah.
And to be caretakers and to put everybody first.
I know what you're going to say.
And for men, it's about providing.
Totally.
And so if you're not providing, it hits you at the core of who you are as a man.
Totally.
They feel the exact same pressure around success and money because that's what society has told them matters. And so what happened is I got to this point where I could see the divorce coming. I could see that we were about to lose the house. I could see the family being torn apart. And
You saw it from the bed in your own despair,
I
right?
could just see this is what's coming.
Were you not seeing clients anymore?
Oh my God, I hadn't seen clients in like 2 years.
Oh.
There had been a small detour. I had done something else.
Yeah.
And then that little startup went under, so I found myself not...
So you were both out of work.
He's still trying to keep the restaurants going. I'm working 120 hours a week. I'm now unemployed and barely holding it. The kids are missing the bus every day. I'm hitting the snooze alarm 4 or 5 times a day. I'm drinking away my problems. I've stopped calling my friends. I'm hiding like crazy. It was awful. Awful, awful, awful. And so I'll never forget, it was a Monday night. It was in February. And I was sitting in the living room of our house, and have you ever hit such a bad moment in your life that you give yourself a pep talk?
I feel like I talk to myself often.
We talk.
This was one of those
It's a
like,
big talk.
I'm sitting there. All right, Mel. Tomorrow, girl, you got to get this together. You have got to fucking get out of bed. You have got to look for a job. You've got to stop yelling at Chris. You've got to call your friends and tell them what's going on. You've got to stop drinking.
That's kind of crazy you knew that, though.
That you had your
out.
strength that like everyone didn't show up at your
That's
house
crazy that you knew
with an
that.
intervention.
That's not normal.
Forcing you. That's not normal.
But see, I think most everybody has that.
I guess they
in
can't
them.
always hear it.
I think they say it. They don't know how. You see, I'm a how brand. I'm not a why brand. I am a how brand. There's a lot of people that'll talk about the whys and the this and the... I am how. And so I literally was like, and by God, when that alarm rings tomorrow morning, you have got to fucking get out of bed and get those kids on the bus. And then all of a sudden across the television screen, a rocket ship launched. And it gave me this crazy idea. I thought, okay, maybe if I launch my ass out of bed, maybe I'll beat the depression and anxiety and the fear that's taking over. And now, I had 4 Manhattans, so it could have been the booze too. So,
I thought you were going to say you decided you were going to be an astronaut.
Yeah,
and
I
so
was like,
and here's the thing, and this is where all my work comes into. This is where everything was born, was in this moment on a Tuesday morning outside of Boston, Massachusetts, 10 years ago. The alarm rings, okay? Alarm rings.
10 years ago.
Yeah. This book has only been out for 3 years. So the alarm rings, and this is the thing that I believe. You are one decision away from a different life.
I agree.
And all change happens in a 5-second window. That's it. A 5-second decision. is how you change it. And I'm going to explain this.
Yeah, I think you need to. I think our viewers are so lucky to have you here because you're like speaking to women we hear. I have said this in every podcast that they feel like they're not enough and that they are stuck. And so you're like, you are not stuck, and this is how you get out of it.
Yeah, you're not. You have patterns that are broken, but you're not broken. And so if you understand the patterns that are broken and you start to use I'm going to tell you.
Okay, good, thank you.
And you use the 5-second rule to break any pattern and replace it.
Go.
So what happens is that morning the alarm goes off, right? And I immediately, when the alarm went off, I immediately had that moment where I'm like, I need to get up, and I remembered the rocket launch. Now here's the thing. That moment when your intuition or your guilt or your whatever it is that whispers to you or screams at you that's like, you should speak up, you should go to the gym, you should not do this, you should get out of bed, that is your wisdom. That's the call to change. That's the power inside of you. That's the greatest you. Right there. It fucking talks to you all day long. It's like an alarm that goes off inside of you. We don't fucking listen to it. That's why you don't feel good enough. That right there is because you're not fucking listening to yourself. Because you don't know how. Because nobody's ever taught you. So let me tell you how. So the alarm goes off. I hear myself think, I need to get up. But then what do? Instead of doing what your wisdom and your intuition is telling you, you fucking think.
You talk yourself out of it.
And you start to think about whether or not you're going to listen. And within 5 seconds, first of all, the automatic part of your brain takes over. So you now are going to spin in the patterns from the past. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I don't want to. I don't feel like it. What happened for me is I should get up, and then I'm like, I start to think about it. And as this 5-second window opens up in your mind, what comes in is anxiety. What comes in is depression.
Self-doubt.
What comes in is self-doubt. It's like opening a window in a bedroom and the cold air comes in. And within 5 fucking seconds, you're no longer thinking about the change. You've already gone down the road of the fear.
Oh my God.
And so if you can close the gap in that 5-second moment from your intuition telling you do it and your fear telling you not to, boom, you will fucking win every time. I'm so passionate about this because I'll tell you some of the results of what's happened. So I can feel myself reaching for the snooze button because now this part of my brain is taking over, and it's a pattern to hit the snooze button, and the depression and the fear and the this is not how. Why is it going to matter anyway? And I don't feel like it. I just went 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and stood up. I used it every morning, and then I was kind of like, So I invented something irritating that helps you get out of bed. How's this going to fucking pay the bills? And then I said to myself, just hold on a second. Why don't you pull this thing out every time today when you hear yourself say you should do something and you don't fucking feel like it? I'll tell you what, I used it 73 times that day because I believe that most of us know the thing we're supposed to do next, and we're avoiding it like the plague. And so, for example, I walk in the kitchen, I see Chris, the initial reaction is want to kill him. But the truth is, what I really want is to save my marriage. I love the guy.
Yeah.
I know he didn't try to do this.
No.
Right. I know he's doing his best.
Yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I settle myself down. I'm able to speak to him from a place of like love instead of anger. I see the phone. I need a fucking job. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm picking up the phone. I see my sneakers. I know I should be exercising. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm out the door for a walk.
How long
day.
was the change? Like, okay, so this was 10 years ago. And how quickly did we get to, like, I know it was 10 years, but when did you become a source of trust versus...
For people?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Probably 5 years later. Because I used this to change my own life. I didn't tell anybody about this.
No, I
mean, how do you talk about this? I mean, it's literally like, oh, you guys want to explode your business and be happier than count to 5. I'm out. The podcast's over. I'll see you later.
We have a podcast, and I think our success of our business is because we don't think. We have the gift of not thinking, and that's very hard for us to describe to people that we're not up here ever we don't overthink ourselves. We don't analyze ourselves. We go.
When we started the business to make money, and a brand partner, the very first one ever, was like, well, how much would it cost to sponsor your little event? We went like this. Let's count to 3.
No, we went 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
One said one said 1,000 and one said 3,000, and we
You're like,
immediately went 2,000.
2,000. You know, like that's
Awesome.
what's
And then if they did it, they were like, okay, we're like, fuck, we left money on the table. Next time it's 3.
So we don't think, but I think for most people, they get so in their
It's
head.
hard for them to listen
But
to
that's
that
why
wisdom.
you're growing so quickly. I'll tell you why, because it's riveting to watch somebody who is in alignment with themselves.
I know.
Where there's no hesitation with just saying what's there for you.
But listening to your own wisdom, right? Instead of having all the clouded like conversation.
Yeah.
Do
Just go.
you believe most people can get there?
Yes.
You do.
1,000%.
Oh, it's so hard for them.
Doesn't have to be.
I know, but they make it so hard for them. So
Depends
they don't
how
have-
much you want to suffer.
I know, right? But like, I feel like sometimes when you hear people talk and you want to tell them all of this stuff and just like do it like this and do it like that, and it's like it feels like they're so far from it. Like, do they need so much therapy to get to
where
a place
they
where
are?
they can see it like we do?
Well, I
What
mean,
if they can't afford it?
well, I
Read
think
the book.
that therapy is a fantastic thing.
Okay.
This is a wonderful place to start.
Yeah.
But the best change is to change your behavior.
Yeah.
And the 5-second rule is how you do it. See, you can talk all you want about what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't know how to make yourself do it when you're scared, when you're full of doubt, when you think you're not worthy, when you're anxious, when you don't feel like it, you're not going to.
Yeah.
And so what happened for me is in the course of 3 years, Chris used this with his partner to do all the hard things they were avoiding, to talk to investors and tell them what's
Yeah.
going on, go back to real estate agents or real estate folks and renegotiate leases and scale back on the business and jump back in and do 50 million jobs, and slowly but surely everything started to,
Does he still have a pizza?
thank God, no.
Okay, I was like, wait, we need to wrap that up. Where he doesn't.
I can't wait to go there for pizza. I was thinking.
left.
It's excellent pizza, but thank God, no, he's out of the restaurant business.
Okay.
So, I 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 started cold calling to get a job.
As a what? What were you going for at the time?
Well, I went for the first thing I thought, which was a radio audition that paid $50 a week for a 2-hour show on Saturday mornings. I ended up landing it.
Even though you were a lawyer, you didn't want to go back to that?
No, I had been done practicing law for a long time. I was just like, nah, hated being a lawyer. Hated being a lawyer. Well, I love being a public defender, but I hated being a lawyer in a law firm, law firm.
Oh, okay.
So and that show got pretty popular, and then it became a weekday show,
Did
and then
they
that
pay you
show
more?
got a little bit on the weekend, not much.
So
And then
this
it
is
became
weekend, you say radio?
yeah,
So you would go every weekend and have a
like a 2-hour talk radio show
and they just gave it to you.
in Boston. Well, I had to audition.
$50, yeah.
And then
What
I
was
went
your-
and worked as a consultant in a tech firm because I had done a lot of coaching in startups. And so I went back to a tech firm and started doing some coaching and started pulling it together. And so that show went from weekdays to being syndicated weekdays to winning a big award. And then CNN saw that I won the award, and this was right when the Trayvon Martin murder happened, and I, with my criminal defense background, did a ton of commentating. So here I am 20 years, reaching back to the stuff that you left behind, realizing, oh my God, this is now part of the journey that makes me so good at commentating on television.
You aligned yourself and you took off.
So I find myself in 2011, so we're still talking 9 years ago, everybody, where they do the first ever TEDx conference.
Yeah.
And a friend of a friend of a friend told the person that was curating that I'd changed my jobs more than, an ABBA concert, has a costume change.
Right.
And so I get asked to give a talk on career change. First speech I'd ever given in my entire life. I walk on stage and have a 21-minute long panic attack.
Okay, I was gonna say, were you like freaking, like, because
Freaking
it's
the
like
fuck
you're
out.
like you just like I walked on and did a TED talk.
But the
and
words
this
still
thing.
came out clearly?
Sort of. Through the neck rash and the talking a million miles
Okay,
an hour.
I just have to. I have to stop you for a second. So it sounds like you're a doer. You don't think too much. You just go.
Not
you're
anymore.
like, I need to put a step in. I need to do a foot. I need to step. I need to walk. Even though you were super uncomfortable,
Yep.
you were like, I'm going to do this because you don't talk yourself out of doing it. Basically, is what.
Well, I got really stuck in that when I hit the breakdown moment because I was doing too much thinking and not any doing. And so I give this talk, It was not about the 5-second rule. I had never told anybody about the 5-second rule at this point.
That was your own
I'd been
secret.
it was my own little secret thing. But I literally forgot how to end the talk.
You forgot how to end?
The TEDx talk, yeah. So I literally, with a full-on neck rash, look out at the audience, completely forget what I'm supposed to say, and go, by the way, there's this thing I do.
Oh,
I call it the 5-second rule.
oh God, found something.
The moment you have an instinct to do something, you got to move in 5 seconds or your brain will kill it. And I leave the stage. I think nothing of it. I go back to my life. A year later, somebody puts it online. A year later, 2012. So we're talking 8 years ago now.
Who put it online?
I have no idea.
Okay.
And it starts to take off, and it gets about 1 million views. It's got almost 24 million now.
So you saying it, or they said it in their own words? Like, was it you saying?
No, it was my talk.
It was your talk. Okay, perfect. Just curious.
And so then people start reaching out on Facebook going, I saw that talk you gave in San Francisco. Now I'm busy at CNN. I'm busy living my life, living my best life. I'm like doing my thing. And I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? I had no idea that this was even online. And so people start to ask if I would like to come speak at conferences.
About the 5-second rule.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay. So I maybe do 7 speeches over the course of 2 years where I'm not paid. I have no idea this is a thing normal people do.
Okay. No
I'm not
agent.
looking to do this.
Okay.
And it was at the Pennsylvania Women's Conference. I had a room of 1,000 people. The speech is nothing like what I do now because I became the most booked female speaker in the world.
Drop the mic.
$75,000 for an hour speech.
Yes, girl.
And I'm not the least bit embarrassed to say that.
No,
I
no.
like, you need to own your fucking success. And I deserve every dollar, if not more.
What was
And I could be booked 365 days a year. I am that good.
What is your husband?
Love
What
it.
is your husband at this point when you start getting successful?
Thank God he had his own nervous breakdown, left the restaurant business, got sober for 2 years, became a yoga instructor, and is a stay-at-home dad who now runs men's retreats. God bless you. Chris
Dude,
Robbins.
you guys, oh my God, you need a show about your life.
Shut up.
He's
And
a
it is-
yoga teacher?
Yeah, he is the single best thing that's ever happened to me.
What?
And I will tell you right now, and women, listen to me right now. Stop denying your fucking ambition and stop putting your ambition on your partner. Every single
Say that.
conflict.
What do you mean? Like
Yeah.
stop putting your ambition on your
Women
partner.
are trained to be nice. We are not trained to be ambitious. We are not trained to go out there and make a lot of money and build things. We are trained to build people up and take care of them.
Crazy.
And there is something wrong with you. You're a bitch. You're aggressive. You're bossy. You're this bullshit. Bullshit. I literally was on my husband all the time about his career because I am the one that has all of the ambition in the world.
Right.
And when the universe reset our marriage, we fell into the right roles in our marriage. Chris is a caretaker. He's a deeply spiritual human being.
Wow.
He is an incredible parent. He is centered and organized and rational and smart.
During
and
all of that crazy stuff, what did you guys go to, like couples therapy? How did
No.
you figure that out together? Because that seems like really big problem, like really
Profound.
big issues. When a lot of people have smaller ones and they don't even know how to get through it.
I think a lot of it is we had both done a ton of personal development before all this had happened. So both of us had done landmark education as students for a while.
Okay.
We, had listened to all of Tony Robbins tapes.
Oh.
We had both been in therapy for other things. We had read a bazillion books, listened to the greats. I mean,
So you guys are on the same page in that area.
Foundation. That doesn't protect you from having a major breakdown, by the way.
No.
It just gives you tools and a language that you can use. And so what happened is that he went searching for what happiness meant to him and really had to deconstruct the pressure that society puts on guys. Particularly when you have a super successful dad and you feel like you're supposed to do that too.
That's hard.
And then all of a sudden you're not successful and the thing that you did
And
failed.
success is different levels, right?
Of
Success
course.
is different meanings and different
But even that takes wisdom to know.
No, I know,
That's
but
not just
I
mine.
think that a lot of moms are like, I'm just a stay-at-home mom. I'm like, if that's what you love, do it. If
Of
you're
course.
great at being a stay-at-home mom, do that. There's
Of
no,
course.
it's no because you
Of course, I'm sorry, I'm
success
having
is-
a hot flash. It's
Oh shit!
Oh my God, I love it.
I know.
I sweat in my sleep. Is there a problem?
No, not yet. How old are you?
Shorty.
No, you're fine. That's not happening.
You're fine.
That's probably the drunk sweats. That's not the I've had those too. You're too plowed. A little marijuana will take care of that.
We're working on that.
Trying
We're
to
working
master
on
the right dosage
All right,
for
so
that.
you success shit.
Okay, so then what happens?
So thankfully, here's what happens. So somebody comes up to me at the Pennsylvania Women's Conference, what an irony, and says, "Oh my God, I was in your room, you're really great. I'm a fellow speaker. Can I ask you a question, speaker to speaker?" I said, "Sure." She goes, "Did you get your check yet?"
Touche.
And I go, "Check? You got paid for that shit?"
Oh shit.
She's like, "You didn't? I just assumed you did. You were in the huge breakout room." I'm like, "I didn't know people got paid for this." So then I had no idea what to charge or how the whole thing worked.
Thank God she came and asked you that.
No kidding. And so I made myself a promise that the next time somebody called, I would 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, take a deep breath and say, "What's your budget?"
Okay.
And then I would go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I'd say, "Normally I'm double." And then the first phone call came in, and it's the man who runs my entire speaking business, Darren Powell Speakers. Love Darren.
Oh, so Darren has other speakers, but he's like the agent.
He was the first one. He was the one that found me. It was meant to be. No question. No question.
How do you find you?
His wife had seen, Lori had seen the speech going viral on Facebook.
Okay.
And she is a partner in Jay Hilburn, the men's custom suiting company, and she asked him if he would reach out to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm, blowing up online, find out who her agent is, and can you get her for a sales conference? So he called me. Now, meanwhile, this is 5 years ago?
Shit, a lot happened in
Just
5
5 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Woo! And the phone rings. I can see myself sitting in the kitchen, and he introduces himself and asks if I'm available, and I 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, take a deep. What's the budget? He said $10,000. I dropped the fucking phone. That was like 3 months mortgage.
Yeah.
We only recently clawed our way out of the debt and started saving again. Like, it was such a hole, and restored our 401ks and the kids' college funds. Like,
Are you mind blowing at yourself?
In
yes.
5 years, you've restored all this shit and saved?
Oh yeah.
$75,000, babe. Come on
babe.
now.
Got it, babe.
Got it? Come on.
Sure.
So I started speaking like crazy, and that first
I
year,
would too.
Oh my God, because I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
yes,
Because you want to just get your family
and
back.
plus, yes, I'm doing this because I'm like, I'm now going to go out, and I am going to go, and I'm going to support my husband in really healing himself and pursuing what he is truly meant to do,
with
which
zero
is to be
resentment.
Zero, because we get so fucked up around what it means to take care of somebody else. That somebody's got to buy you something, or somebody's got to make amount of money, or somebody's got to provide you that renovation you've wanted, or the trip to Disney, or whatever the fuck it is. The support that we all need is emotional support. And when I stopped bashing my husband for not making the money I wanted, and I could actually see all of the shit he was doing that is worth more than any dollar could pay for.
Wow.
And so I immediately realized there's no way I could do 110 speeches a year if
Without him.
he's not home as the anchor for our family and the anchor for me.
I do have to say most women don't have a Chris.
Yes.
Like, they don't have that.
Yes.
So that would be a barrier for a lot of them, because they have to take care of they have to be the anchor and
He doesn't know how to be.
yeah.
You have to train them.
Oh.
And what if you're single with kids?
Then you got to find a support system.
Yeah.
And you also have to stop beating yourself up, and you have to, I think, bring your expectations in line with where you are, and you have to find small ways to inch your dreams forward and small ways to take care of yourself.
Do you think everyone has a dream?
Oh, of course they do. You see, if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So the big triangle we learned about, and at the bottom, you die if you don't eat.
Mm-hmm.
You die if you don't have shelter. You die if you can't breathe. You die if you don't have water. And then you kind of go up a little bit. You then have the needs that are not life or death, but are just as important for life, which is sex and community.
The sex up there?
Yeah, it is.
Shit.
A good vibrator will keep you going.
Okay. It doesn't have to be a man, right? Okay.
Of course not.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, and it doesn't. And if it also doesn't have to be a woman. Like it could, you can have sexual relations with yourself. So,
ladies, do you hear that?
So the thing that that we don't talk about is the top need, and that is a need for growth. We all have a fundamental need for growth, and so
but this has to be met in order. You have to be like if you are just making it by to feed your family, and you are working 18 hours. Like I think we're so cognizant of the women who are double shifting just to feed their children, and their spouse might be deployed or they might be single, or it doesn't mean it can't come down the line. But right now you're doing a great job right there.
But even right there are baby steps that don't take too much.
But hold on. Here's what your dream could be. Your dream could be that your kids launch into happy lives.
Yeah.
Your dream could be that you are present and enjoy, for the most part, your life.
How the hell does something so simple work, Mel? I mean, come on, for real? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? Well, let me get you into action, okay? Because when you try this thing, you're going to experience the change yourself. One of the reasons why this is so powerful is because your brain has one job, and that is to keep you alive, which means your brain will resist any kind of new change you want to make. And the thing I'm going to have you do is going to make you feel this resistance. And it's important for you to realize that this is part of your wiring. You're never going to not have to push yourself to do things when you don't feel like it. Like, this is just a fact of life. In fact, one of the hardest things for us all to do is to start something new. And there's a scientific reason why. The reason why is because pushing yourself to do something, whether it's pushing yourself to get to the gym, or pushing yourself to change a habit, or pushing yourself to stay sober, or pushing yourself to speak up more, or pushing yourself to express your boundaries, right? Or make the cold calls that are going to make you more money. All of that requires you to go from doing one thing, like scrolling on your phone or sitting on the couch, to doing something different. You have to summon something called activation energy. You have to activate the movement inside of you. One of the coolest things about why the 5-second rule works is the counting itself is an action. So it's almost like the little Trojan horse. So you're sitting there on the couch. You know you need to go for a run, but it's raining and it's cold and you don't feel like it. You blew it off this morning. You've already made yourself wrong. It's now 3:00 in the afternoon. You can think of a million things that you would rather do than going for a run. You now know the secret. The secret is motivation is garbage. No one's coming to push your ass off that couch. This is up to you. The second you're sitting there marinating in your excuses and your sad sack, whatever, feeling low energy. I get it. I'm there every day at 3:00, right there with you, not feeling like it. The second you start counting backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you've made the decision to get off that couch and go exercise, even though you don't feel like it. The second you hit 1, get up off the couch. Start walking toward your closet. Change into your running shoes, change into your tights, whatever. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, walk out the door. That is how you summon the activation energy to start. And starting's the hardest part, right? So that's why this works. In addition to the physiology, in addition to the brain science, in addition to everything else, from a real common sense point of view, you are starting with the counting. And so I want to leave you in motion. I don't want you to just learn about this thing, because it doesn't work if you think about it. You got to use the tool. And once you use it, you're going to be able to teach it to anybody in your life that's struggling because they're waiting to feel motivated. You can give it to anybody once you try it. And so what's the best way to get you moving? I want you to do a 5-day wake-up challenge with me, okay? I know you're already groaning. I can literally hear it through my earphones over there. I don't want to wake up. Good. Okay. And for those of you that can just spring out of bed, first of all, you're a weirdo. And the way that we're going to make this work for you is set your alarm. If you're the kind of person that just, I just naturally wake up. I just spring out of bed. You're going to set your alarm 30 minutes earlier because I want to manufacture the resistance that you are going to push through with the 5-second rule. For the rest of us who just hate getting out of bed, here's what you're going to do. Tonight, set your alarm, okay? Tomorrow morning, when the alarm goes off, you're immediately going to feel yourself thinking about getting out of bed. You're immediately going to want to stay in bed. We all do. I mean, who wants to get out of bed? It's cozy, it's warm, it's yummy in there, especially if you're sleeping with your loved one or your fur babies, okay? I get it. That is me every single morning. When that alarm goes off, you're going to notice this moment of hesitation because you're not going to want to use the 5-second rule. Good. That's that resistance. That's the fact that activation energy is now required. That's your brain going, but I don't want to change. And then you're going to count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, throw those sheets off, stand up. You're going to hate this. Start walking towards the bathroom. By the time you get to the bathroom, you're good. So that's what you're going to do for 5 mornings in a row. Alarm goes off, count backwards 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The second you hit 1, the sheets are off, and you stand up and start walking toward the bathroom. You're going to hate it. You're not going to feel like doing it. If you can push through the resistance that you feel every morning about getting up when the alarm rings, you can push through the resistance everywhere in your life. You are building a muscle of courage, of confidence, of action. You are building the skill of being able to take action when you don't feel like it. And that skill will pay you dividends for the rest of your life. Now, I'd like to support you in this wake-up challenge. And let me support you. And here's how you can let me support you. Go to melrobbins.com/wakeup. WAKEUP. One word, wake up. I don't think it's one word in real life, or maybe it is, but on the website, it's melrobbins.com/wakeup. If you, the instructions for the Wake Up Challenge will be there in case you want to share them with somebody else. And more importantly, if you share your email with me, don't worry, I'm not going to put you in some I'm not going to sell your name to anybody. I just want to support you. I will send you a really fun, encouraging email every single day that you're in this challenge for 5 days, because I really want you to try this. And I want you to try this because the 5-second rule, I'm so passionate about it, not because of my experience. I'm passionate about it because of the experience of millions of people around the world who have used the 5-second rule first to get out of bed and then to go on to make amazing, courageous, incredible changes in their life. And the same is going to be true for you. But it's only true if you're willing to push yourself. And here's the interesting thing about this challenge. Notice you don't feel like doing the Wake Up Challenge. What, are you waiting to feel motivated to do it? I mean, isn't that the whole point of what we've been talking about? In order to get what you want, you got to push yourself to act before you're ready, before you feel like it. I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen? That you try it for 5 days and then you go back to hitting the snooze button? I think something incredible will happen when you place a bet on yourself, when you allow me to support you by sending you these emails. I believe that if you were to practice pushing through the resistance 5 mornings in a row, and it sounds simple, it is not easy. I think you would be surprised by how good you feel about yourself and the ripple effect that it creates in your life. That's what I believe is going to happen, and I can't wait to support you in it. You are one decision away from a different life, a better life. And yes, it's not going to change overnight. it changes through those decisions that you're making that add up over time. I hope you find the courage to make the decision that's going to change your life today. I'm asking you to 54321, sign up for that Wake Up Challenge. melrobbins.com/wake up, and let me support you. When you start making courageous decisions, when you start pushing yourself forward, when you start going for bigger things, when you stop thinking and you start doing, are you going to fail? Probably. Will you mess up? I sure do. That's okay. I want you to just keep waking up every single morning, 54321, and show up for yourself again. Because it's what you do after you fail. It's what you do in those moments when you don't feel like it. It's those moments when you push yourself that matters most. Do not waste another day of your life waiting, wishing, or hoping motivation comes. All the things you desire are right in front of you. They're waiting for you to push through all of that resistance and self-doubt and walk toward what you want. No matter how old you are or what's happened in your life, you can achieve the life you want. I'm sorry, you don't have to believe it. I've got enough confidence in this fact to believe for you until you catch up. I have way too much evidence, having seen the lives of millions of people change through these small decisions, to know that yes, you can change your life too. You have dreams to fulfill. You've got a world to change. You've got a life to live. So I want you to get your butt out there and 54321, go do it. I will see you in the Wake Up Challenge. I will see you in the next episode. And I am so excited to be kicking off this whole new chapter of my life with you. Thank you for being here. And more importantly, thank you for trying this, because thinking about this tool is not going to change your life. Motivation is garbage. No one's coming, but you got everything inside you that you need. So 54321, go do it.
I've been researching you for the past few days. This morning I watched your TED Talk.
Do you know that's like a 21-minute long panic attack?
I do, because I heard you talk about that. And I want to address that a little bit because I think it's interesting. So you do a TED Talk that certainly was uploaded in 2011 and is close to 30 million views now, right? So one of the most watched TED Talks of all time, I would imagine. Probably top 10,
Yeah, I think it's top 20 anyway. Maybe longer. I don't know.
Okay, so you know, the outside world, much of society would look at that and go, oh, Mel Robbins is crushing it. She has just nailed a TED Talk and it's gone viral. Now, you're saying that you had a panic attack the whole time, right? So let's just think for a minute. You're getting the external success, but inside you are eating yourself up with worry, right? Then we fast forward, let's say 9, 10 years. April 2020, you are successful speaker, motivational coach, you know, best-selling author, and you're struggling with self-doubt in front of the mirror. So is there this slight clash here somewhere where actually you can be successful and not love yourself and be racked with self-doubt?
I think everybody is.
Yeah.
Success is not the source of self-love. In fact, most people who are successful or competitive or entrepreneurs, most people are chasing that success because they have married their self-worth with achievement. And I was the same.
Yeah.
And so right there.
Me too.
And so this is, by the way, evidence that you have a problem with self-rejection and with self-worth and with self-criticism, because you believe you are only worthy of love and you are only worthy of support if you have achieved the thing.
So someone's looking at you and thinking, man, I wish I was Mel Robbins, right? We'll talk about jealousy if we get to it later, but they might be jealous of you in a nice way. They might think, man, I wish I had a viral TED Talk like Mel. I wish I had multiple international bestsellers.
Great. Write them.
Right?
Great. Apply for one.
Yeah.
You can do it. If I can freaking do it, you can do it.
But they might also be thinking, well, that is success. You've had that even though you were racked with these problems on the inside.
Yeah.
And they may think, I'll take that. I'll take that success. And I think this comes to this wider societal point, which is we confuse sometimes success with happiness.
When you anchor your happiness to doing things, it's always out of your control. When you anchor success to the crap you achieve, it is always a moving target.
Yeah.
And so, it's a really hard concept to wrap your brain around because, first of all, there's the research that shows, at least in Western countries, that, there's the baseline with money. 75 grand is the baseline, that when somebody makes 75 grand or more, there's this happiness thing that I can't remember how the exact study goes, but it makes a lot of sense because as somebody who could not pay groceries with 3 kids, as somebody who had liens on her house, as somebody who was getting the bankruptcy letters in the mail, as somebody who was unemployed during this whole thing, and whose husband was bouncing the payroll checks and was running from one restaurant to the other to hide from the collectors that were showing up. I know what it's like to live with the constant, relentless pressure that comes from having no money.
Yeah.
And until you can get yourself to a state where you can take a deep breath and you can pay the bill and you can buy some groceries and you can put some gas in the car and the phone rings and it's not a collector, you are going to live a stressed out life because your basic needs are under threat.
Yeah.
And that is a horrendously triggering thing to live through. And we lived through it for several years. It was like that.
Yeah.
And so, there is a certain level of economic stability that has a direct impact on your happiness, on your safety as a person, and your ability to experience less stress. So I just wanted to be, responsible about that because I've freaking lived it. And, but I do think that, look, I use the 5-second rule. I certainly have found my calling. I love building stuff. I'm incredible as a businesswoman. I love the game of making money. I love being smart in deal making. I love content syndication. I'm super excited for NFTs and for how blockchain is going to change the role of being a creator. And so there's a part of this that's a real expression for me in terms of building a business. Yeah. And the 5-second rule helped me take action. And the 5-second rule made me very productive. And the 5-second rule had me go, no, I don't want to do a talk show. No, I don't want to do a talk show. No, I do not want to do a talk show. Why are we still talking? This is interesting. When you say no, people want you more. I wish I knew that a long time ago. But so I, for sure, use the 5-second rule to push myself to take the actions that have made me wildly successful. But that doesn't change the fact that I would look in the mirror and still see a person that I didn't like. And that as soon as the 5-second rule book came out, like I'll give you an example. So I write the High 5 Habit book. I'm practicing these tools and I am also human. So when we get word 2 weeks before the book comes out, that the big box stores like Target and Walmart in the United States are passing on my book because I'm not a known author, I get triggered. I punch the wall. I pour a gin martini, light up a joint. I call a bunch of friends and bitch up a storm. I am literally reliving being left out at a sleepover in middle school. I've got this gigantic, ridiculous story that, I'm always left out. I'm never part of the group. Like there's this group of like real authors that are all friends that all promote, I have the whole thing. I'm human.
Put the record out, just press play.
Yes, exactly. I tend to be like angry, depressed kind of person, like breaking stuff. And then I wake up in the morning and I drag myself into the bathroom and I look at myself in the mirror and I have compassion. I'm like, you're right, that sucks. You are a known author. You deserve to have your work be in places where people can find it. It doesn't feel fair. And you know what? You're going to be okay. And so the high five becomes this, it's like a life jacket in the waves of life that keeps you above these waves so that they knock you over, they tumble you around, but then you climb back up, you reassure yourself. And I have this thing that is embodied in the high five. So the high five is also a wildly realistic, optimistic mindset. So part of what I am constantly doing, and I do this as a mother too. So we have a 23-year-old, a 21-year-old, and a 16-year-old. And every day in everybody's life, there is stuff that happens that sucks. There are friends that go out to lunch that don't invite you. There are people that tell you no. There are schools you don't get into. There are apartments that somebody else gets. There's boyfriends and girlfriends that break up with you. There are people that have cooler clothes and nicer cars and parents who throw the parties. And, there's always going to be something that makes you feel like life is out to get you. Things aren't fair. People don't like you. It's just like a tweak, right? It's triggering your insecurity. And I have this saying that I developed that, again, it embodies this high five, which for me, also having run a marathon, the only reason why I made it across that finish line is because every stranger's high five said, I believe you can keep going. That's what the high five said to me. I see you, Mel. I see that you're limping. Keep going, girl. And so my mindset, whenever I'm working for something and I don't get it, and I feel the sting of rejection or disappointment, I always say to myself, and I say this to my kids on repeat too, I say, look, when you work hard, you're going to be rewarded. You have to believe that this moment is preparing you for something better, that you didn't get this thing because something better is coming. And, so there have been a couple of those. Like, for example, the High Five Habit audiobook is unreal. I mean, I record it. It is the #1 selling audiobook on all of Audible ever since it's been out in terms of the number of downloads in 1 month. It's just destroying it. And I know you don't like that word, but it is destroying audiobook. It has been reported in the AP. It has been reported in all these places. Wow. It is in the charts, #1. And we are destroying it on the Amazon charts because people are reading it and loving it and sharing it. And I freaking love it because it tells me that the tool is spreading. Yeah. Because my books, like your books, are just vehicles for ideas to get out so then people can talk about them. And obviously, I put all this stuff online for free anyway. So if you can't afford the book, you're listening to this podcast. You're going to get. But so the New York Times puts out a monthly audiobook list. I self-published the audiobook. And in the back of my mind, I was saying, don't get your hopes up, Mel. Don't get your hopes up. You're not a publisher. You're a self-published author. They're very fancy over there. And so the audiobook list came out for the month of October. I clearly destroyed it. I'm clearly the audiobook. We don't even make it. A complete and utter intentional snub. That was another night where I punched a wall and drank a couple martinis and lit up a joint and called a bunch of friends and felt really sorry for myself. And the next morning, I literally high-fived myself in the mirror. It took about 4 mornings of high-fiving myself to get over that sting because it felt personal. But I kept saying, something better's coming, something better's coming. Do you know, I figured out the better thing that's coming. Well, first of all, actual sales are better than a list. So let's just get that straight. But I'm human. We all want to be recognized. I was in the New York Times crossword puzzle today.
Today?
Yes. Isn't that not crazy?
For the high five.
It is the coolest thing.
That's cooler than being a New York Times bestseller, I reckon.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I think it is.
So
it's a smaller club.
I'm literally getting off the train and my text messages are blowing up from mates from the United States. And they've screenshot this and it says literally a 3-word down on the New York Times. And it said, motivational speaker, Robbins. And it was me.
Oh,
And you know what it was that made me so just blown away is that I underestimate the fact that people know who I am. I think that I am a person who has really screwed up a lot. And for a very long time, I have lived inside a body that was racked with anxiety and fight or flight and doubt and judgment. And it has been really hard to live in this body. Yes, I've been high functioning. Yes, I have still gotten okay grades. I've gone to great schools. I've had friends. I've been married for 25 years, but it has been a real bitch to live with this much unedgedness, this much stress, this much self-imposed condemnation, this constant, relentless drumbeat of what's wrong and someone's mad at me and I've screwed up again, and just constantly feeling like nobody likes me and I can never do it right and it's all never going to work, and just this grinding feeling that when I finally started to attack the anxiety and understand it, when I finally started dealing with the childhood trauma that created a dysregulated nervous system in the first place, when I finally understood what was going on and came face to face with the woman in the mirror, and I started getting help and finding a new way, because I didn't want to continue living a life where I felt that stressed out and that anxious and that worried, and where the constant just noise in my head was negative. Now, through the 5-second rule, through EMDR and psychedelic guided therapy, through traditional talk therapy, through the high five habit and practicing that since April of 2020, I have a totally different experience of being alive. And if I can save anybody the headaches, the heartaches, the struggles that I have been through, that I now realize that you have very simple tools at your disposal that you can use to move the needle on the things that are making you feel anxious and stressed and unhappy and just constantly on edge, that you can come back home inside yourself and reconnect with your true nature. You know, if you think about our true nature, we're wired for love. We're wired for connection. We're born accepting ourselves. Like when a 4-year-old sees a mirror, they don't back up and say, God, my thighs are fat, and look at that nose and my hair. No, they like are, woo, they're twirling. They love themselves. That's your true nature.
Yeah.
That's why a high five from a stranger feels amazing, because it cuts down to the core of who you really are. A person who deserves to be seen, a person who deserves to be celebrated. And it begins with you.
Yeah, it's so powerful, Mel. As you were describing your different experience of life now, you're still successful as you were, but you experience it differently. There's a calmness, there's a groundedness, I guess, with it, is what I hear. And it reminds me of a phrase that my friend Pippa Grange, she's a psychologist. She used to help the England football team a few years ago. And she has this term, winning shallow or winning deep. Sorry to interrupt. If you are enjoying this content, there's loads more just like it on my channel. So please do take a moment to press subscribe, hit the notification bell. And now back to the conversation. And it really epitomizes that. She's dealt with so many. Wow. Yeah. She's brilliant. And it's such a great phrase, because she's dealt with, elite Premier League footballers. And, they've been walking up the steps to win the trophy. And on the inside, they're feeling nothing. They thought from a young age, from the age of 8, I'll keep training, I'll get for a big club, we'll get into the cup, we'll win it. Because they thought, like many overachievers, that actually winning that medal, getting that number, getting that job, getting the house, getting the car would make them happy. But it doesn't, because it's an inside job. And that's where I think this high five habit, it's not going to change everything, but it makes everything much easier. You know, you've still had therapy. Like, I feel someone who, let's say they've got childhood trauma.
Yeah, I do. Everybody does.
And who doesn't, really?
Yeah, everybody does, yeah.
On some level. And it's too hard for them to even address it and actually go and see someone. Well, the high five habit, I think, is your way in.
Oh, of course, yeah.
You start doing that.
Yes.
I think a few weeks down the line, you're going to be picking up the phone to someone and making an appointment.
Because you realize you deserve it.
Exactly.
Yeah. A lot of people think that confidence is a personality trait. It's not. It's actually a skill that you build through action. And a lot of people think confidence is a state of belief. It can be, but that's not where it begins. And so I say that confidence is the willingness to try. That's all that it is. Knowing that you may succeed or survive, but you'll still try. And to me, all those people that we admire most, that's what they're doing. They have the ability to tune into those instincts that are true for them. Because the fact is, there's only one you. That's it. And you matter because there's only one you, and there's only ever going to be one you. And your instincts and your experiences and your inner wisdom is a gift to the world. And every time that you tune it out because of the habit of hesitating or the habit of self-doubt or the habit of worrying or the habit of overthinking, you are robbing the world of that gift that you have to give to everybody. And you can use this simple, stupid, silly tool to train yourself to not only hear it, but also to develop the skill of courage to act on it.
Powerful. And is there any area of your life where you feel like you lack courage still?
I'll admit it's kind of easy. I think we all kind of go through those moments where you feel like you're behind. And I think social media is both an incredible tool, and it can also be one of those triggers that makes you feel like, look at how many followers this guy has. And I'm like so tiny compared to this guy right here. Like, it's easy to use technology and social media not for inspiration, but actually as a way to bash yourself that you're not doing what other people are doing.
Comparison or whatever.
Yes. And so I think that I use the rule a lot for patience. I notice that my insecurity rises up because right now, look, I did a ridiculous number of speeches last year. I travel way too much. I don't want my life to look like that. It's a champagne problem. I get it.
Yeah.
But I also have 3 kids and a marriage that I love, and I really feel depleted when I'm not with them. And so I'm practicing patience as I make an intentional pivot in the kind of business that I'm running so that I have more of a life that I want as well. Yeah. So that's one area. I don't feel insecure as much as, the term deliberate practice, right? And the 5-hour rule where...
Deliberate practice, is that from the Talent Code?
Well, the deliberate practice is actually a psychological principle.
I think it was in a book called The Talent Code, but yeah.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's a psychological principle that, the 10,000-hour rule.
I mean, deliberate practice is in sports. Yeah,
so deliberate practice is this idea that, you could do 10,000 hours at anything and become an expert at it, but the way to do it faster is to do deliberate practice, which means you're practicing with the intention of improving, and there's a feedback loop.
Yeah. So you do 2,000 hours as opposed to 10,000.
Correct. Right. Like, for example, if you want to become an expert at guitar, learn scales. Don't just sit there for 10,000 hours and play the same song. If you learn scales, you get the finger dexterity and the muscle memory and the neural pathway development. By the way. Yes, so I saw your guitar over there. So hard. I saw your guitar. I always wanted to play guitar, but instead I forced my 3 children to learn.
That's good. You can just enjoy it. You just watch them. Exactly. My brother's, the number 1 jazz violinist in the world.
What?
Yeah. And so I grew up watching the most incredible,
Now, is he built like you too?
He used to be even like more jacked. They used to call him the Incredible Hulk of violin because he was just like
snap the thing in half.
Yeah, he would. He
it?
would like slam it like Jimi Hendrix style. Yeah, but now he's leaned up a bunch actually, and so he's incredible. So I used to just be all awestruck by his gifts, and it was unbelievable, his skill. And so I learned guitar. I taught myself when I was 18 just because I was like, I have to know something, in terms of music. Cool. I can barely, I'm like a hack, but at least I can do something.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I'm kind of in this mode of improving myself, and I'll give you one more thing that I'm working on. So I kind of think about my life and my work in 3 buckets. So we got this bucket here, we got this bucket, and we got this bucket. And so when you think about your business, or you think about your passion, or you think about work, I think about, okay, what do I need to do in terms of how much time and what actions do I need to take in order to develop the skills so that I can perform the work? Mm-hmm. So there's the deliberate practice that goes into practicing your skill and your
mastery.
And your competency mastery, so that when it comes time to actually deliver the work, whether that's selling or standing on a stage or writing a book or talking to people or selling real estate or whatever it is that may be your passion, deliver. This is the one I neglected last year. This bucket is, what are you doing to personally develop yourself so that you are the most capable, fulfilled, and satisfied human being, so that when you show up to do your competency and your skills and the delivery, that you as the human being are able to do that.
Yeah.
And so I've been spending a lot more time consuming content, reading books, watching, your incredible show, and learning from other people. And I think that one of the traps that we entrepreneurs get into is I was feeling last year anyway, like I was on a treadmill, and when I wasn't looking, somebody was coming by and turning up the speed.
Sure.
And I was only in this alley.
And increasing the hills,
Yes. And so, and if you're my age, you need like a diaper when somebody does that. You're on a treadmill and a leash to keep you attached to it. Exactly. So I've been focusing a lot on this, and it's been interesting because you and I were talking earlier too about you going to India and some of the stuff that you learned in terms of the different states to be in. And I use one where I pay attention to where I'm feeling depleted versus where I'm energized. And here's the thing. You can be doing things that are really hard that energize you. You can be doing things that are really scary that energize you. The same is true with things that deplete you. There are things in your life that are really easy for you. There are people that you hang out with, by the way, that you've been hanging out with for years, but they deplete you. And so I've been starting to become more deliberate about how I distance myself from things that deplete me, and how I spend more time and energy either doing or pushing myself to do those things that actually energize me. And this gets back to your message around passion, right? And that, the art and the skill of building a life that is guided by the things that you're passionate about.
Yeah, that's great. When did you discover the 5-second rule?
Okay, so 2009.
This is when you first tried it or discovered it, or?
Oh, it's a total horror show mistake.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So 2009, I was unemployed and feeling like...
You unemployed? How?
Well, okay.
You have too much charisma, too much passion.
Yeah, because everything's working right now. That's why. I'm not like this when things are not working.
Sure.
Ask my husband of 22 years.
Yeah.
What had happened is I had all these career changes, and I got into the media business, again, by mistake. I had a coaching business, and Inc. magazine was writing an article about coaches, and they featured me in it, and CNBC called.
Got it.
And that led to me doing some stuff with CNBC, and I spent a year still coaching people and then doing some stuff for CNBC, and then Fox called, and they were interested in having me host a television show. Now, you got to understand, I'm from North Muskegon, Michigan. Mm-hmm. I mean, the media business, Fox, LA, the closest thing I had ever seen to a celebrity, Lewis, was the Muskegon Lumberjacks, the farm team, right?
Right.
From for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah, the AA team or whatever.
Yeah, my dad was the hometown doc for the hockey team there.
Right.
So I thought,
the mayor was a celebrity.
Wow, my life's about to change. I'm about to be a celebrity. wow, we're going to solve all, this is amazing, you know? So I was originally going to be hosting a show for Fox where we were making over small businesses.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty cool, right? We show up, we like do extreme home makeover for the office. Everybody's happy. We all know that doesn't solve business problems, but it makes for a nice television show. By the time I get to LA, they've changed the format. It's now called Someone's Gotta Go. And I'm going to be firing people on national television from real jobs.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
That sounds fun.
Horrible.
Oh my gosh.
Plus, we haven't told the offices that this is what we're doing.
Oh my gosh.
So you show up in Act 1 and you've got everybody all like this because they're going to think they're going to get new IKEA furniture and a paint job, and this is going to be the best thing in the world for their small business. Now, meanwhile, I'm a 4th generation small business owner, so that's like my people. Grew up at a kitchen table with farmers and, you know, my mom at a retail store, and my other grandparents were bakers. And so when it comes to like the heart and soul and what's so important when you launch your own business and how personal it is, I mean, this was like gut-wrenching. So I show up, the first act, you kick out the owner of the company, who then freaks out, then all the employees freak out. Act number 2, we announce that somebody's getting fired, and then that's the bad news. The good news is that I'm not picking. We're going to have you vote somebody out. So it's Survivor in an office place.
Oh my goodness.
So
That sucks.
when I learn all this, I have a panic attack, even though I'm on Zoloft. And I call the guy that got me the gig and say, you got to get me out of this. Like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And he said, well, I'm sorry, but they've already cast the entire show and you're out there for 5 weeks and you don't have a choice. They're going to sue you. And I said, then fine, get me some Xanax because I don't think I can get through this thing. Like, this is awful. Luckily, we taped 2 episodes and legal tabled it. But here was the problem. I was attached to the show. And I only got paid if the show was shooting. So and being an entrepreneur, I also kind of put all my energy into this, shut down the coaching thing. Really thought that it also kind of negotiated a deal that was a sort of a back end deal, thinking I'm a entrepreneur, always thinking about got to have a piece of the action. Yes,
of course.
That was a dumb move. And I was in a contract for a year while they figured out what to do.
So you couldn't do another show. Yeah.
So, I just felt like I had made a huge mistake, and I felt really embarrassed. And I didn't know at the age of 41 what I should be doing with my life. And while it's neat that I had jumped careers so many times, I started to feel like somebody that actually wasn't successful at all because I didn't have a career track. I had a bunch of jumps from one thing to another. Now, looking back, it makes perfect sense, but standing in the middle of the mess, it just felt like everything was caving in. Probably just like when you were sleeping on your couch, feeling injured, and like everything I thought that was about to happen isn't happening now. Meanwhile, my husband had opened up a restaurant business. It had been his dream. He worked in high tech and came home one day after getting laid off and said, I'm never going to get on a plane and do a PowerPoint presentation for a company I don't care about or own. And I said, great, what's your plan? And he said, I'm going to open a pizza restaurant. And I looked at him and I said, was there a trust fund that was part of this marriage that I was unaware of? Because I'm not quite sure how we're going to
get the money.
Yeah, exactly.
Did someone die? You got an insurance policy? Check.
Yes. And he said no. And I then said the most famous lines of our 22-year marriage, Lewis. I looked at him and I said, listen, buddy, inspiration is for strangers. You get your ass back to that job and you pay the mortgage and you forget this dream. You're not going to this.
Wow.
So because change is scary.
Yeah.
So we fought and he won. And the first one was a real home run. And
he opened a pizza store.
Oh, he did. Yeah. 40 seats right outside of Boston, Massachusetts. He and his best friend. And they won Best of Boston. It was incredible. What do you do when everything's...
They make money, though.
They did on the first one. Okay. So what do you do when everything's working? Woo, let's go all chips in. Let's put in the home equity line. Let's put in the kids' college savings. Let's get friends and family. And because you're so excited, you think it's going to work. So you go big, big, big. Well, the second one did not work at all. And it did not work at all so badly that when it was finally closed, it was close to an $800,000 loss. And it meant our entire home equity line, kids' college savings, everything went right down with it. That was right when I lost the Fox show. So I'm unemployed. The liens start hitting the house. The phone starts ringing all the time, and it's collections calls. So you unplug the phone.
That would stress me out.
Well, you just unplug the phone.
Oh my
that's how you deal with that. But I remember I remember 2 things from that period of my life that were really painful, and one was having to call the town and tell them that we could not afford the $175 for our sixth grader to play soccer, so we needed to pull her out. And I remember there being times, because I was so afraid to look at the checking account, that I would stand at the grocery store and items would scan, and I could just feel that wave of anxiety rising, thinking, I don't think the check card's going to go through. And so I would stand there. I always had an excuse, and it was to look at the person and go, oh, that's strange. It just worked at the gas station.
Oh my gosh.
Because what would have been more empowering is to probably say, oh, well, I guess I don't have the money for this. Let's take this, this, and this. And just kind of like the easiest thing to do is to tell the truth. But I was so filled with shame.
Yeah.
So I started to develop this habit of hitting the snooze button. Because what would happen is the alarm would go off in the morning. And the first thing I would think about is all the problems that we had. And how awfully things had gone off the tracks.
And you didn't want to deal with them.
No, and I also didn't think I could. And this goes back to the feelings. Like you think that you need to feel confident or courageous in order to get started. You don't. You actually just have to start, and that's the riddle of life. That lying in bed, hoping that you wake up some morning motivated to change, that's not the answer. You actually have to learn how to push yourself. You have to learn how to leverage the power of your decisions, and you've got to learn how to take action when you don't feel like it. Because every morning when I woke up, I did not feel confident. I felt like a loser. Yeah. I felt like the world's worst parent. I felt like I had failed at every single turn. I did not know if Chris and I could pull out of the spiral. I did not know if we were going to go bankrupt and lose the house and move from our community. I did not know if our marriage would survive. I knew I wanted it to. And see, this is the knowledge action gap. You can know what you want. You can know what you should be doing. But how do you make yourself do it when the feelings and the motivation isn't there? When all you got is fear? And so every night I would lie in bed and I would say to myself, all right, that's it, Mel. Tomorrow, it's the new you. Tomorrow, you're going to wake up and be motivated. You're going to get up. You're going to exercise like everybody says you should. You're going to meditate. You're going to get those kids on the bus. You're going to screw Fox. You're going to look for a job. You're going to cold call Cox Media, and you're going to do auditions. Come on, girl, let's go. You're going to take a cold shower. Woo! Here we go. And I meant it when I was saying it. Maybe it was the alcohol that was talking, but then I would wake up and I didn't feel any of those things. Mm-hmm. So I would hit the snooze. And I would hit the snooze. Now, why was I hitting the snooze when I knew it wasn't the right decision? I'm going to tell you why. And this is something that I was blown away by when I discovered it. You don't make decisions with your goals. You don't make decisions with your prefrontal cortex. You don't make decisions with logic. Do you know how we make decisions? I didn't invent this. A neuroscientist by the name of Damasio, who does his research in Brazil, who gave an incredible TED Talk and wrote about this forever and ever and ever. We make decisions with feelings. 95% of our decisions are made by how you feel in the moment. And that is the problem. You need to take control of the moment and leverage the power of your decisions and make them up here. Because when I was lying in bed, I wasn't saying to myself, I should get up because that's going to help me start my day right. I was saying, do I feel like getting up?
No, you don't.
No. Do you feel like making that cold call? No, you don't. Do you feel like doing that third set of reps? No, you don't. Do you feel like having that hard conversation? No, you don't. Do you feel like ending this relationship, whether it's in business or in your life, that is sucking you dry? No, you don't. We make decisions based on our feelings, and that is robbing you of joy and opportunity. And it is blinding you from the fact that how you change your life is 1 5-second decision at a time, one push at a time. And if you accept the fact that you may never feel ready and you may never feel motivated and you may never feel confident, you may never feel courageous, and that's okay, but you can still push yourself forward. What happens over time is as you start to see yourself becoming the person that takes action, that you start to see yourself becoming the kind of person that speaks even though your voice is shaking. You're the kind of person that has a bias toward moving instead of a bias toward thinking. Guess what happens? You build the skill of confidence and courage. And so what happened for me is I was stuck Lewis, I mean, I was so stuck. We were heading straight for divorce. We were heading for bankruptcy. I knew I wanted to change things. And so one night I see this commercial. This is the stupidest story on the planet, but this is what happened. I see this commercial. And, again, I also was drinking too much. I mean, I probably had a couple Manhattans in me. Sure. That's my drink. I'm from the Midwest, just like you. Yeah. All right, little Manhattan there, little bourbon. And there was a rocket ship launching.
On a commercial.
Yeah. And I had this instinct, this innovation, this disruptive idea, right? Oh my God, Mel, that's the answer. Tomorrow morning, you're going to launch your ass out of bed like a rocket ship. You're going to move so fast, you can't even think about your problems. Dumb, right? Mm-hmm. Totally dumb. See, he's like, this is the dumbest idea I've ever heard. I cannot believe I have this chick on my podcast.
No, I understand it. You got to get moving first.
Yes.
That's the thing. You just got to wake up at 6 a.m. or whenever it is and go into the gym. And when you're in the gym, you're going to start moving the first weight. Yes. And then you'll start moving the second weight.
Actually, people use the 5-second rule at the gym because you know how much time people waste at the gym standing around thinking about the next thing?
Probably 70% of the time.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the next morning the alarm goes off and nothing had changed in my life. I woke up to the lien on the house, the fighting with Chris, the unemployment, the lack of confidence, the lack of courage, the whole thing. But I did something I had never done before. I went 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just like NASA. I actually counted. And then I stood up and I was like, what the hell just happened? Uh-huh. What? That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. The next morning I used it again, it worked. The next morning I used it again, it worked. And then I started to notice something, and this is one of those things. So we have an 11-year-old son who has dyslexia, and when they finally diagnosed him, it was as if, of course, it was as if how could we have possibly missed this? Are we the worst parents in the world? I mean, the kid can barely write, he can't cut his food, he doesn't read. No wonder he doesn't do team sports. Mm-hmm. It was right under our nose, and what I'm about to tell you is right under everybody's nose. There's a 5-second window between the instincts, the shoulds, the urges, the inner wisdom, the things that can change your life if you listen to it. Got a 5-second window from the moment you feel that instinct to move. And if you don't, your brain is actually designed to kill it. 5 seconds is all you have. The second you hesitate, and you feel yourself hesitating, that is a moment of huge power because what's happened is you've just started to pull back from something that you need to lean into. And if you count backwards 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and this is the neuroscience behind why this stupid little trick works, counting is an action. Counting backwards requires focus. It's also not a habit for you yet. So when you feel yourself hesitate, you're triggering your mind that something's up. Like Lewis didn't hesitate when he pulled on his pants. He didn't hesitate when he's drinking his coffee. He didn't hesitate when he walked out the door to the gym, but now he's hesitating to make that call. Your mind now goes into a cognitive bias called the spotlight effect. It magnifies whatever it was that you hesitated doing. Mm-hmm. The moment. Yeah. Like all of a sudden you're like, hey, I don't feel like it. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'll do it later. Right. And your mind is doing it because your mind's trying to protect you. Hesitation signals a red flag to your mind that something's up. Just that small hesitation. It's a habit that we all have. Should you hesitate if you're getting a tattoo? Yes. Should you hesitate if you're gambling? Yes. Should you hesitate if you are signing a legal document? Yes. You need your prefrontal cortex for those things. You need to interrupt it, make a decision. Should you hesitate on making a phone call? No. Should you hesitate on speaking up in a meeting? No. Should you hesitate when you feel yourself starting to procrastinate and you know you got work that you should get done? No, you shouldn't hesitate at all. Should you hesitate in saying the thing that you really feel in your heart? No, you shouldn't. Should you hesitate and edit yourself when you're talking? No, you shouldn't. But we've all trained ourselves to. So it's actually this habit of hesitating. You start catching yourself. It's a huge moment of power because you have a decision to make and you got to make it in the next 5 seconds. Are you going to go on autopilot and get trapped in your mind? Or are you going to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and awaken your prefrontal cortex and drive forward? So I started to use this rule as I noticed that every day, all day long, I had these moments of inner wisdom where I would know that I needed to pick up the phone and stop isolating myself. Mm-hmm. I would know that I needed to call a bunch of media companies and start auditioning for radio show hosting gigs. I knew that I should get out of bed on time. I knew I should stop myself before I snapped at Chris, right? Mm-hmm. Self-monitor.
Yeah.
I knew I should not let the frustration be the things that was driving me. And so I started to use the rule all day long. Whenever I felt this, I should do this, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I would make myself do it. And slowly, 5 seconds at a time, my entire life started to change. And my husband used it in his business, and he and his business partner dove in. They went on to open 7 more restaurants. I went on to launch and sell 2 businesses and get recruited by CNN and join their team. I had a syndicated radio show that ended up winning the Gracie Award, which is kind of the female media, awards for the #1 talk show in the country. And, I never intended to tell anybody about the 5-second rule. First of all, because it's stupid.
Right.
I mean, come on, count backwards. That's the dumbest thing
Not
I've
stupid
ever
to
heard.
me, though. Anything that works for me.
That's true.
You know what I mean? I'll take any stupid thing.
That's true. But I also was like, how do you start talking about something like that, right?
Yeah.
So I was asked to give a TED Talk like 6 years ago, and TED 6 years ago, not the brand that it was today. They weren't even putting the talks online yet.
Really?
Yeah, the TEDx talks were not online yet. And so that was the first speech I'd ever given in my life. If you want to see what somebody looks like having a panic attack for 21 minutes straight, watch that speech. I was backstage, and it was like one PhD after another going out there. I'm like, what
scientists,
the hell have I gotten myself into? This is the dumbest thing. And so at the very end, I wasn't even planning on talking about it. I say, oh, by the way, there's this thing I do. That's it. I don't even explain it. And you know why I didn't explain it, Louis? I didn't know why it worked.
So you didn't have the science or the research. You were just
Zero. And then something crazy happened. They put that talk online a year later, and people started to write. We've heard from more than 100,000 people in 90 countries that have written to us that are using the rule in ways big and small to change their lives, to change their marriages, to change their thinking patterns, to grow their businesses. We know of 11 people that have stopped themselves from killing themselves.
Wow.
In the moment, there's a gentleman that we talk about in the book, and you can see his social media posts in London. He was a veteran, and he was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, and he boarded a ferry with the intention of jumping overboard. And he got to the railing, and he was standing there, and his inner wisdom kicked in. And this is another thing I want everybody watching to understand. I don't care what you're facing or how low you get. Your inner wisdom is always there. It is. And the thing is that we often don't listen to it. And so he's standing there intending to kill himself, and that inner wisdom kicks in. And he remembers the 5-second rule. And he goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and he turns and physically moves away from the railing and finds the first person working on the ferry and tells him that he's suicidal. Saved his life.
Wow.
He saved his life because he listened to the inner wisdom. And this is the other thing I love about this rule. It's not something to think about. It's a tool to use. So the part of the problem with a lot of the advice that I've found, for me personally, is that a lot of advice is all about kind of doing mental battle. And if I go upstairs, I'm behind enemy lines, and I tend to get hijacked.
Right.
So I love this tool because 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 interrupts those patterns. It actually prompts the part of the brain that I need in order to change. And it makes changing easier because I've now got my mind working for me instead of against me. And it gets me out of my head. And so I'm super excited to share this rule with people because I now know not only that it's working, just not for me, it's working for people around the world. And, in the book, it took me 3 years to write it. It's all the science behind the rule.
Yeah.
It's got more than 150 social media posts in it. So you see stories from around the world of people using it to end procrastination, to build confidence, to deepen their relationships, to launch businesses, to explode the sales. Why does it help with sales? I'll tell you why. Because you can't sell by thinking. Selling is about action. We have groups from companies around the world, sales teams that put 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 up on the wall.
Really?
I'm sure they hate me.
That's cool.
Yes, because cold calling. It's a momentum thing. If you stop and think, the phone is not getting, the dialing is not happening when you're thinking.
Yeah. If you're thinking about all those no's you've been getting,
yes,
you're not going to want to do it again because it doesn't feel good.
Yes. And if you're in the middle of a negotiation or you're in the middle of a really difficult conversation, and again, remember what we said earlier? You cannot control your feelings that rise up, but you can always control how you think and what you do. So if you're in the middle of a difficult conversation and you feel those feelings come up that normally trigger you to start editing yourself or to censor yourself or to silence yourself or to think sabotaging thoughts in like a business negotiation, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, awaken the prefrontal cortex, get back in the game. Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed that video, by God, please subscribe because I don't want you to miss a thing. Thank you so much for being here. We've got so much amazing stuff coming. Thank you so much for sending this stuff to your friends and your family. I love you. We create these videos for you. So make sure you subscribe. Mwah.